We want to speak English, but the thing is, we don't want to make any mistakes when we speak English. It is something like everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die for that. Similarly, we all want to speak English. We all want to become good at speaking English. We want to become fluent English speakers. But we can't think of making any mistakes when it comes to speaking English. Perhaps we may be in the beginning phase of learning to speak this language. But even then, we don't want to make any mistakes. And because of which, we are not speaking English at all. We may be consuming a lot of information every day. We may be consuming a lot of English content every day in the shape of watching English videos on YouTube and reading books and doing a lot of other stuff. But after feeding your brain with all these English content, we forget to do the most important part. We neglect doing the most important part, and that is speaking. The reason why we are not practicing speaking English is nothing but the fear of making mistakes. So you are scared of making mistakes. You are scared of making mistakes. You are terrified of the judgments from people because we consider it as something very embarrassing and regretful, right? But you know what? We are in 2024 now. 2024 is going on now. We might have started our English learning journey some 2-3 years ago. So a long period of time has gone. And we are still in a state of mind where we are constantly worried about why my English is not improving so far. I have been seriously involved in learning this language for a long time now, but why I couldn't make any progress in this language? Why I couldn't make any progress in my English communication skills? If you find yourself in this situation right now, then this video is for you. Because whatever I'm going to be telling you in this video are all from my personal experience of learning to speak this language. So hear me out. I guarantee you will get a little amount of information from here that you need to overcome your fear of making mistakes when you speak English. Hear me out. So now you are scared of making mistakes, right? You are scared of making mistakes, and because of which you are not speaking English. Here you must understand one big truth, and that truth is the greatest mistake you make is not making any mistakes. Do you know that? The greatest mistake you make is not making any mistakes. We want to learn something. And in the process of learning that, it is obvious that we are going to make a lot of mistakes. It is those mistakes which help us learn that skill the best way. So we cannot skip making mistakes in any learning process. Mistakes are the integral part in any learning process. Nothing can be learned without making any mistakes. We learn everything better through experience, right? And where does this experience come from? Through trials and errors. These trials and errors are called making mistakes and learning from mistakes. Mistakes reveal the problems to us. And that's how we get to know about our problems and work on solving them. But how do we know about our problems and find solutions to solve those problems unless we attempt doing something and making mistakes? If we are not doing anything and not giving a single chance for the mistakes to happen, then we will not be aware of our problems. This leads to the problems remain undiscovered and unresolved. And eventually these problems will remain there and they become bigger and bigger. And it creates a lot of regrets for us in future. Mistakes tell us about the problems we have. In the case of our English learning, in the case of our English speaking, mistakes tell us about the problems we have when we speak English. Once we identify those problems and solve them, all our fears and insecurities will fade away from our mind. We can self detect our problems about our English speaking. I mean, you sit somewhere and speak English alone. Pick a topic and speak about it in English for just 5 to 10 minutes. You don't need to worry about anything because nobody is there to judge you. You are all alone, so you can speak freely. So when you speak, you can see the problems that are unfolding in front of you. You may find yourself getting stuck and taking too many pauses, making some grammar mistakes and other pronunciation issues and many more like that. So you came to know about these problems only because you attempted to do something. You attempted to speak English. And since you came to know about these problems, you can work on solving them. But we cannot detect all our problems on our own, right? We cannot always sit in our comfort zone and speak English alone to detect all our problems. No. In order to know more about our problems, we have to come out of our comfort zone and interact with people in English. That is the purpose of a language. Language is not meant for speaking alone. The purpose of language is to communicate with people, right? So you have to come out of your comfort zone and interact with people in English regardless of all your fears and insecurities. Because the people who are listening to your speech or you are communicating with are the people who can reveal more of your problems about your English speaking that we couldn't find ourselves. Among these people, some will inform us of our problems in a very nicer and gentlest way, while some others will inform us the same in a very unpleasant way, which may hurt us. But whatever it may be, we should accept that. Otherwise, we won't be able to survive in this game of learning to speak English. But you know what? It is a great privilege to get corrected for our mistakes by people who speak English better than us. I was corrected many times for my mistakes by many people. I was corrected for my grammar mistakes. Some people had corrected my grammar mistakes and some others had corrected the way I pronounce some words in English, and I was even corrected for the inappropriate vocabulary that I used to say something. So yes, many people had corrected my mistakes, and even now when I make some mistakes, people do correct my mistakes and I'm very grateful to them. But I must say that most of the times the people who corrected my mistakes were very nice to me. They were very kind to me. But there are some exceptions, I must admit that also. There are a few exceptions. There were some people who corrected my mistakes in a very unpleasant way, which did hurt me. But yes, it did hurt me, but I did not let those negative things impact me more deeply. Most of all, they corrected my mistakes, right? And I could reduce one more mistake from my English speaking. That is all what I wanted. So all these happened because I presented myself in English in whatever possible way I can in front of the people who speak English better than me. So from my experience, I want to tell you that don't surrender to your fears. Okay, get out of your comfort zone and speak English more. Practice speaking English more. Speak more than you consume. Make mistakes. Speak more and give more chances for the mistake to happen. Because we learn through our mistakes, right? Mistakes are like the light in the darkness. They come to clear our path, because for every mistake we make, we learn from them. So make mistakes. The more we make mistakes, the more we learn. The more we learn, the mistakes get slowly reduced when we speak English. So start speaking English today with whatever minimum knowledge you have. Start practicing speaking English today with whatever minimum knowledge you have. And wear that confidence to handle the judgments from people. But of course, we are human beings, we have strong emotions. Some judgments can be very hurtful, but let it be. Don't take those negative judgments, toxic judgments into your heart. Okay. But there would be something to learn from those judgments and negative feedback. So take what you want from those judgments and feedback and ignore the rest. That's all. So don't surrender to your fears. Don't give in to your fears. Giving into the fears means shutting the door to the world of knowledge and endless opportunities and possibilities where we can grow in our life. So make mistakes and speak English. Okay, speak English and make mistakes. Everything is going to be polished over time. Every mistake we make and every judgments we face are all going to shape us into a better English speaking person. So start speaking English today by embracing all your mistakes, because mistakes are our best teachers.